Well, welcome back to another episode of a Whitney's World podcast. I am your host, Whitney Morgan Ward, and I want to thank you so much for being here today, for tuning in. This is officially my 39th episode. Guys, I cannot believe I am almost to 40 episodes. Let me tell you guys something that is just like so crazy. I started this podcast in June of 2023. I had no idea why, what was happening, why I was being called to this. And it was something that I just felt so deeply in my soul. And people often ask me, why did you start a podcast? And literally, the only thing that I can say is I had to answer the call. And this is truly a testament because there are so many times in our lives that we feel called to something and we answer the call. And the call ends up being something more magical and more incredible than we could have imagined. Or by us following our intuition, our heart, our desires, the call, it leads us to something else that we would have never in our lives ever dreamt of. And that is where I'm at on this 39th episode. It is so crazy to be sitting here today. If you knew me in June of 2023 and you know me now, I am a completely different version of myself. I am better, healthier, brighter, more excited, more lit up. I have so much more understanding of this universe, this world, what we're learning, what we're here for. And every day I feel like I just continue to push, to grow, to continue to learn as much as I can, because the more I learn, the more I am just more lit up by life. Now, I don't want to make anyone think that my life is perfect. My life is not perfect. I have flaws like everyone in the world. I am a human being. But what I can say is that by me simply answering the call of this podcast, I have grown and evolved into a completely different version of myself, a much better version of myself than I was. And it is just literally so exciting. Like, I have so much more confidence. I have so much more zeal. I am so much more calm. I am so much more lit up by life. And I just have a new profound understanding of I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And everything that I've done and all the uncertainty and everything that I have moved to has led me right here. And it's so crazy. And so I just want to remind all of you, and I probably say this every episode, but follow your heart, follow your intuition. If something is calling you, just do it, because you seriously don't know what's on the other side. And, for instance, I just got my YouTube channel up and running, and now I'm doing video every single week. It is causing me to grow even more, because when I first started my podcast, I had to learn how to just formulate my thoughts, just sit in front of a microphone and come up with something to talk about, come up with something I'm learning. I, have pages of notes sometimes. Last week I had no notes. Today I don't have notes. I have like a couple things written down, but nothing like I used to have pages and pages of notes. And I used to get really stressed out, really, I don't want to say anxious, but just nervous. Like, what am I going to talk about? And now it's just learning to trust myself, just learning that I am learning so much. I am like so committed to this journey. I am so committed to being the best version of myself that I could be. I just sneezed. The pollen right now in Florida is insane, and I'm really excited for it to go away, because I've had to be taking allergy medicine And I'm excited to not have to take allergy medicine and not have a stuffy nose and be sneezing all the time. And I'm sure it's like this everywhere because we are going from winter to spring. And I'm so excited about that because we need some good spring in our lives, and the summer is coming. I know you Coloradans had literally like 2 feet of snow last week. That's insane. But I know that I had some friends traveling to Colorado. They had a great time sledding, said it was the best sled ever. And anyway, but I know we're going into spring and this pollen is just crazy. So please bear with me. Okay, so back to what I was saying. When I first started this podcast, I had to learn how to just formulate thoughts and continue to talk. From my goal was 30 minutes to an hour. And that is still my goal. And it's actually funny, like sometimes people are like, oh, like, do you have a hard time getting people to come collaborate with you and like come on your podcast? And I'm like, actually, it's just me. Like for right now, where I'm at in my life and on my journey, my podcast is me. Eventually, I will absolutely have other people. I want to collaborate with other podcasters. And I know that that's how spread your name and spread your word and your message. But for right now, I am so good doing this because, again, it is really causing me to grow and learn. And I've been editing my own video with the audio for YouTube. So YouTube, a lot of people are like, you need to get on YouTube. And what people don't understand is that these things that when we're really trying to grow and evolve and we're trying to transcend into a higher version of ourselves, maybe we're breaking into a new career, maybe we are starting a new project, anything we're doing where we're trying to evolve, like you have to realize that this stuff takes practice, it takes diligence, it's a learning curve. Like starting a podcast, for anyone out there that has never looked into starting a podcast, it's expensive. And like, there's so much that goes into it. And there are some people that are just super smart and they're like, get it and start grooving. And some people just started a YouTube channel. But for me personally, I wanted to learn really how to communicate with myself, with my own thoughts, and then express it out into the world to where it made sense. It was uplifting. It was a message of light and love and what I'm really going through, because I, like everyone, have been through a lot, and I still have a big story to tell one day, and I'm just not ready. I don't know when I will be. Some people know the story, some people don't know the story, but I do have like a very big story, and like how I ended up moving to Florida and why I'm here. And it's, again, like these things that we are trying to do to grow and to evolve take time, and it takes a lot of practice and learning. And again, like I started my podcast and then I became comfortable and then I started doing video. And then before I even released YouTube, I was recording myself on video and talking, but I wasn't actually posting it because I was learning. And then, I learned, oh my gosh, I'm like looking at the computer too much, or I'm looking at my screen next to my camera too much. And I really had to grow. And here I am on my 39th episode, and I am not perfect, but I am trying. I am growing. I am so proud of myself. And I am just so happy to be here and to be sharing this with all of you guys, because I really want you to know that if I can do this, you can do it. If there is something that is calling you, if there is something that is like pulling at your heart, if there is something like your inner higher self, your inner being is like, you need to do this, like seriously do it. Just trust yourself, because again, you don't know what's on the other side, and you will grow so much. And that is what we are here for. We are here on planet Earth to grow, to expand, to learn, to transcend, to evolve, to become the highest version of ourselves possible. And if you do not step out of your comfort zone and just try something, maybe it doesn't last, maybe it opens up a new doorway for you and you get to be like, oh, that's why I started that, because now I'm here. You never know. Like, for instance, with real estate, I started real estate when I was 23 years old. And I'm so glad I started real estate so young. And what's interesting is like my whole growing up, people are like, oh, you're so young. You like got into real estate at the perfect time. Like, I wish I would have done it, but I'm 50 now and I started when I was 38. It was my second career. Like, real estate was my first career. Real estate was what I've done. And now I feel like I could do real estate like the back of my hand. Real estate just comes easy to me. I know how to communicate. I love my clients. They love me. And what's interesting is now that I have real estate down packed, it was like, okay, what's next? And it's almost like podcasting, like this whole realm is my second career. It's like what I'm working towards, I'm focusing on. A real estate comes to me like second nature. I started in Colorado. Then when I moved to Florida, it was a super easy transition. Well, I wouldn't say super easy, but it was not something that I had to relearn while I was moving across the country and restarting. And, now that real estate is here, it's easy for me. Now I can move on to something else and I can expand. And that's the expansion I'm talking about. And so now it's like with the podcast, now I'm on video and now I'm expanding. And now I'm editing YouTube, like my YouTube channel, which is crazy. I never in my life thought I would know how to edit video with audio and be able to figure it out. But I do. I get it. I'm expanding. And who knows what's next? I mean, I have a couple ideas, but it's all about expanding. It's all about what are you doing today that you are stepping out of your comfort zone that is going to get you on a path that you want to be tomorrow. Right? And so when we think about this and when we think about our lives and we have two paths in front of us, you really just have to choose one and believe in yourself. You just have to believe in yourself. You don't have to know how to do everything. Nothing needs to be perfect. People understand you're learning and you're growing. And, a lot of people will look at you and be like, wow, it's really inspiring. They're doing that because I want to do something. And maybe you'll inspire someone to do something that they want to do. And that's what this life is about. We're here to grow. We're here to connect. We're here to help each other. We're here to love ourselves and to love each other. And so I just really feel like super lit up about this. And I feel very excited and I feel pumped that I'm able to sit here and tell you guys like the amount of transformation that I have had since June of 2023. And now we're almost to the end of March of 2024 is insane. It's literally crazy. It's something that I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad I started it then because it's really led me to be this version of myself. And, the cool thing about stepping out of your comfort zone, trying something new, opening a business, starting a new career, like whatever that is, you learn so much about who you are. And also, it teaches you to trust yourself on another level. And then once you learn and you master that skill, you get to move on to the next one. Then you almost become like invincible because you start to learn that you can do all things. Nothing is impossible. If you believe in yourself, you can do it. And that is where we are going as a collective. That is where we're going as a species, humanity. We're learning that we can really do the impossible. And, the 4-minute mile was impossible. And then one person broke it, and then all these other people broke it because of one person. So it only takes one person to really make a wave. And that's you. What are you doing in your community, in your sphere to in your family and your network, like what are you doing to be that one person that inspires other people, that says, listen, if I can do it, so can you. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I didn't die. I didn't fail. I learned along the way. And here I am in front of you now, a new version, a more expanded version, a more excited version, a more lit up version of myself. And it helps other people believe in themselves more. It helps other people believe that you did it and they can do it. It's the same like the 4-minute mile. I will say though, I've never ran a 4-minute mile. I think the fastest mile I ever ran was it was either like 7 minutes and 12 seconds or it was like 6 minutes and 58 seconds. Now, I will say that's like a huge difference, that like 16 seconds. But regardless, like you are in control of your life. And if you're listening to me right now, there's something calling you. I know for a fact there's something calling you. And yeah, it's scary. And yes, it's very uncomfortable. And there are still things that are in my head every day that I'm not doing, that I know what I need to do. But again, it's one step at a time. And I don't judge myself. I don't guilt myself. I'm not like, oh, you're not posting enough on social media. Oh, you didn't send your YouTube channel to 10 people today. Oh, you didn't talk about how, whatever, like whatever that stuff is that you're not doing, don't judge yourself for it. Just, okay, I'm going to do better. And if you can wake up every day knowing and believing that you're getting better every single day, and you can speak that into your existence, that's exactly what will happen. So don't feel like you're failing yourself because you're not doing anything. Like again, when I felt like I was supposed to start my podcast, it was dropped into my awareness in January of 2023. I didn't record my first podcast until the end of April, but I didn't actually produce and put my podcast out to the world until the end of June. So things take time, but I knew where I was going. I knew I was going to do it. I knew it was gonna happen. And I just kept speaking it. I kept telling people I'm starting a podcast. I kept getting ideas. I kept meditating through it. And anyway, here I am, like a completely different version of myself. I actually had someone message me the other day and she's like, dude, you look like a completely different person. Like you actually look different. And I'm like, I feel different. I feel like I look different. And that's what the whole journey is. Like we are supposed to transform, and we are the caterpillar and then we become the butterfly. And that is what we're meant to do. That is what we are literally meant to come to earth for. We are meant to be the caterpillar and become the butterfly. But we love a but. But if you don't start and you don't allow yourself to start to dream and start to give yourself signals of what's next, then you're not going to get there. So, for instance, if let's say you want to start a food truck, and like that's one of your dreams. You want to have a food truck and you want to do that. If you have that in your awareness, but you never start researching how to start a food truck, you don't start following food trucks, you don't start listening to podcasts. There are podcasts of people that teach you how to start a food truck. But if you don't start to actually take some aligned action on figuring out how to get a food truck, you're not ever going to have a food truck. You're going to have this great idea, but you have to start to take aligned action. You have to start doing some research. You have to start, how much are food trucks? How do people even start this? Maybe you need to go to, like, I think they have like food trucks everywhere. It's like so popular now. But if you don't go and talk to people that have started a food truck, you're just going to have this idea in your head, but it's never going to come to fruition because you're not working towards that goal. Now, you don't, want to start a food truck today and then tomorrow you have this business. It's a process. It takes months, maybe years of research, trying to get the money, maybe, getting another job so you can pay for it, whatever that is. But if you don't start to actually take aligned action towards becoming the owner of a food truck, the idea is just an idea and it's not going to come to fruition. Chances are what's going to end up happening is you're just going to end up working for a food truck owner. And that's actually not a bad idea, because if you want to have a food truck, go learn from someone. But you're just going to be the employee. You're not going to actually make your dreams come reality of being the owner of a food truck. And so that's what I am saying. Like, if you have something in your heart or something in your head that's telling you, do this, like, just do it, because it's going to be amazing and you're going to grow along the way. And also you're going to get so much knowledge, and then you're going to meet so many cool people. And then eventually you're going to have the food truck of your dreams. But if you don't ever start to take action and start to learn and acquire knowledge, then you're not. But be patient with yourself and don't, tell yourself it's too much. Don't get overwhelmed because you don't have that food truck yet. And I'm really hoping this makes sense to you guys, because I'm really trying to break things down to where it makes sense and you can leave hearing this podcast or watching this podcast and be inspired, and you can start to move towards your dreams, because this is now a dream that I have. This is now a dream that I'm cultivating, but it's all because I started somewhere. I just started my podcast. I just allowed myself to open up, and I allowed myself to have this vision, and then the visions come to pass. And it's taken me a lot of time, and I'm so thankful, and I'm so glad that I started in June. And I'm glad I didn't just sit with this dream and this desire and this calling for even longer, because I know that right now where I'm at, like, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And that is so freeing, and that is so inspiring, and it makes me feel just so lit up and excited to be alive. And that is another thing. We are meant to be lit up. We are meant to be inspired. We are meant to be excited by life. Like, life is such a gift. And I know that the world seems like it's spinning out of control. And sometimes I give my attention to things that take my energy or make me, like politics, for instance. Sometimes I'm like, I just have to unfollow people because I can't allow the negativity in my life because of where I'm going. And sometimes, you do have to be aware of what's going on, but then do you really? Like, it's your journey. So you need to protect yourself. You need to open yourself up to what makes you feel good. And this is my next part of this episode is we need to start being more selfish. And I don't think that we talk about that. We don't talk about it much. Like, we don't talk about being selfish. We talk about being selfless, give the shirt off your back, turn the other cheek, and yes, there are times, of course, we need to do that. But when it comes to your destiny, your goals, your dreams, and your desires, you gotta be selfish. You have to literally sometimes shut yourself off from everyone else, from what everyone's saying, what everyone's, talking to you about, from all the negativity, because you're trying to get where you want to go. You have dreams, you have goals, you have aspirations. But when we have all this outside noise and all this negativity just constantly bombarding us, it blocks us. And it brings this level of negative energy into our aura and into our energy field. And when you're trying to build and you're trying to grow and you're trying to get somewhere and you're trying to achieve those dreams that you have, you can't get there by allowing all of everyone else's crap and negativity to be bombarding you. You got to shut that down. You got to be selfish. You got to be like, you know what? I'm not listening to it anymore. I got to shut it all down. I got to get in tune with me. I got to be quiet. I got to be alone. I need to set boundaries. I need to be at a place in my life where I'm good with me. And it doesn't matter what anyone else says, thinks, or feels, because what matters is how you feel. What matters is where you're going. What matters is what energy you're bringing to the world. Because if your energy is turned off and vibrating at a low frequency, you are not at a high frequency where you can start to create and you can start to bring something beautiful into the world. And so to do that, you really have to be selfish and sometimes shut yourself off from everything, literally everything, and just be quiet and really be alone. And that is something that we are like FOMO, which a lot of people don't know what FOMO is. FOMO is fear of missing out. FOMO is so real. And I used to have bad FOMO, but now like I don't. There's so many things that I have to focus on and worry about. Not worry, but there are so many things that I am like tuned into that I don't have FOMO. Like I do enjoy seeing my friends. I enjoy going to realtor events. I enjoy being around people because I'm an extrovert, but I don't, I really got rid of FOMO, which is crazy, but that just happened to me. That's like literally in the past few months. I feel like I've really gotten rid of the FOMO because I started to get selfish. I started to realize like if I'm not happy, nothing else matters. If I'm not enjoying my life, if I don't love who I am, nothing else matters because I'm genuinely not going to be happy. I'm not going to be vibrating at the highest frequency I possibly can if I'm not happy. And I'm worried about politics and the world and everything that's going on and everyone else. Like, I need to focus on me. I need to focus on what's going on in my life. I need to focus on building myself. I need to focus on real estate, work, my podcast, and just continuing to build me. And I don't feel bad about it. Whereas I used to feel bad. Like I used to feel bad for focusing on me because I should be, doing all this other stuff for everyone else. But on my spiritual journey, I've really realized that all I have is me. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for how I am, how I show up in the world, and who I am. And everyone else is responsible for themselves. So if I want to be the version of myself that I want to be, I got to get tuned in with where I'm going and what I see. And I got to get selfish. And also, like, I didn't even do anything for St. Patty's Day. And that's crazy. But I literally was like, I really don't feel like going downtown and drinking and spending all this money and hanging out, being like in this loud environment, which 3 months ago, I would have been there. And now it's like, I don't even really have that desire. And I actually canceled on friends. I'm like, I love you guys. I'm just not going. And that was kind of selfish because we had a plan to go. But what's super cool and why I love my friends so much is they know. They understand where I'm at. And they still went, and they didn't judge me. And they weren't like, oh, you said we were going to go. Like, they know my path and they respect me. And I'm not getting peer pressured anymore to do things that I don't want to do because my entire life has changed and my friends have changed. And now I realize, like, I don't need to peer pressure other people, like, which I used to peer pressure people because I had FOMO and I wanted everyone to do what I was doing. Even if they didn't want to go, I would literally like peer pressure them into going, and then they would go, and then we would have fun or whatever. But we need to start being selfish to get where we want to go, to become the version that we want to become of the person that we're trying to be better, to be more whole, to be vibrating higher so that we can manifest the things that we want in our lives. And that's powerful. And that is amazing. But it all is a process. It all takes time. And be patient with yourself. And if you want to go out, go out. Enjoy yourself. You never know who you're going to meet. But if you don't go. Who cares? Stay home, read a book, learn something, study, whatever you're doing. If you don't want to go, don't go. Be selfish. Take care of yourself because you are all you got. And your body is your temple. I really hope this is resonating with you guys. And if it is, I would love for you to leave in the comments what's resonating and what's hitting you, because this is all just coming to me. And I just would love to hear if this is resonating with you guys. Something else I learned is, so I've been listening to Abraham Hicks, and she's amazing. But she says this thing called, you got to be tuned in, tapped on, turned on. Tuned in, tapped on, turned on. And what that means is your inner being. You got to be tuned in to that frequency, the radio, where if you want to listen to a radio station, you got to be at the right frequency. You got to be tuned in to the right frequency, or you're not going to be listening to the country music you're trying to listen to. And you got to be tapped on. You got to be available and aware. And then you got to be turned on. You got to be on. That light inside of you has to be on. Like this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. That's what she's talking about. And ever since I heard, this is like recent, I just started listening to her like probably the past couple months. But every time she says that, it just like resonates with me, because that's so true. And so many of us are not tuned in, we're not tapped in, and we're not turned on. We're just zombies walking through life, not knowing, or not knowing, but not paying attention to where we're going, or not following those voices, those nudges, those things that pull at your heart, and we're just turned off. And it blocks us. It blocks us from the life that our higher self wants us to create, that knows that's why we're here. But if you're not tuned in, tapped on, and turned on, you're just turned off. So how do we do that? By meditating. And you don't have to meditate long. When I first started meditating, I meditated for like 2 minutes. That's all I could do. I do guided meditations, and sometimes I'll just now like just try my best to meditate on my own now that I'm getting better at it. But we can't be tuned in, tapped on, turned on if we're not quieting our mind, sitting with ourselves, and shutting our brain off. Stop letting our minds race into an abyss of negativity and something that we don't want. And so I really believe that even meditating just 5 to 10 minutes a day will literally change your life. And it will start to tap you in, turn you on, and tune your frequency. So if you're not meditating and quieting your mind every day, that's something simple that you can start to do in the morning. Try really hard to do it before you turn on your phone and you start tapping into the world. Tune into you. Get quiet with yourself. Just give yourself a few minutes to where you can center yourself, be quiet, and just be. And then you will start to see things unlock in your world. And this is real. Like, this is what I've done. And this stuff is real. And that's how we get there. That's how we start to tune our frequency to our higher self, to become the best version of ourselves that we can be. And I really believe that if you can just start to quiet your mind, you will start to become a different version. Like the person that you want to be, it'll start to give you the strength. It'll start to give you more confidence. It's how it's there for us. It's one of the most beautiful, universal intelligence gifts that's given to us, is just to start to be alone with yourself and turn your mind off, to start to change the programs. And then cool things start happening in your life, all because you're just shutting your mind off for a few minutes a day. And then, once you do it for a couple minutes and then something amazing happens in your life, you'll be like, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do that again. And then you'll start telling other people. And then your life will literally start to change and transform by meditating, by quieting your mind. And you'll be able to get tuned in, tapped on, turned on, to create the best life for yourself. So, also, just remember during this process of expanding who you are and following your intuition and your heart, again, don't judge yourself, grow yourself. Just allow yourself to grow. And don't take things too seriously. Everything's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. The right people will show up. Maybe some people will leave your life. If that happens, that's probably for the best. And you'll just start to love yourself more. You'll start to literally see yourself in such a higher light and better light that you realize you really don't need anyone else. Everyone else it's a mirror of you. And that too, when you change, your relationships change because life is a mirror. And so as you change and evolve, again, some people will fall out of your life, relationships will shift and change because the mirror is changing, and it's beautiful and it's okay. And yeah, sometimes it's hard, but change is so good and growth is amazing and you got it. So believe in yourself, allow yourself to grow. It's okay to be selfish. you're not going to get to where you want to be by staying the same. And again, if you're listening to this podcast, you know there's a calling on your life. You know you want more. You know you're growing, transcending. Like, you know that that is your path, and it's all of our paths. Just not everyone tunes into it, but you got it, and it's meant for you. And again, if I can do it, you can do it. I have completely changed my life. I am a completely different person. Like, this version of me is completely different. And what's crazy is in April next month, I'll be in Florida for 2 years. Like, so much can happen in 2 years, good or bad, but let's start focusing on the good. Let's start transcending. And anything that's taking your energy or making you feel negative, start to shut it down. Because you need to raise your frequency to get where you want to go, to become the version that you are meant to be. And your higher self is leading you and guiding you, and you can trust it. So trust it, believe in it, know it, and you will achieve it. So that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, for tuning in, wherever you're at on this planet. You guys mean the world to me. I am so thankful to everyone that shares, that comments, that sends me such sweet messages. I've been just so blessed. And, recently I've been out and people are like, oh my God, you're Whitney with the podcast. I've been listening. So thank you guys. Like, to be honest, I'm doing this for me, but I want to do it to help you because that's what I feel called to do. So thank you guys so much. Please like, follow, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really, really appreciate everyone's support. Please share, tell your friends, like, hey, support your girl, support Whitney. She's on a mission. She needs us. Let's support her because you guys are my day ones. And I'm so genuinely thankful for each and every one of you. So please comment what you loved from this episode, what you got from this message. Please follow me on TikTok and Instagram, Whitney's_world__. And I will be back next week with another message for you guys to tune into. I love you guys very much. And as always, 5, 6, 7, 8, let's go.
Never found love, always found drugs in the bottom of a bag. But I could never touch how you felt when I laugh or I smile, but I guess I never felt that. And it's sad to say, I'm staring at the sun, but the clouds are gray. I'm feeling kinda down, but I got one to take. She says she want me now, but I got money to make. So I'm dissing, I'm just saying she ain't grabbing what I put down. But I'ma pick it up, cause I need to pick up how I find myself at night, but lost in the morn. And I can find the energy to rise. I'm torn between life and the reaper. Bridges I burn, I built them pretty strong, I think it's time to return. My faded path lit, I'm staring at feet. I'm looking in the mirror at the face of defeat. I let hope build, they steal it with a smile. I always wonder why I get a grip. I feel I can't move like this, I'm smooth like this. Why I'm always feeling dark, looking death in the mist. You can find me with the shadows in the gallows for the dead. See a demon on my back, feel the sadness in my head. In the mirror it's clear, we inching closer to death. But I'm only ever breathing when I'm taking a step. So where my head at? Where my sense of worth? I guess I'll have to find it on a journey to birth. My confidence back, I'm digging deep in my chest. Take a breath, let it out, lay your worries to rest.
Do I feel happy in life? I'm not just generally happy. If I'm generally anything, I guess I'm generally